Alrighty, and now for something completely different. That, as you can see, is a Ryobi 40 volt, 21-inch self-propelled lawnmower. And there's a big recall on those. I think it's something like 200,000 of these are being recalled because they like to catch on fire. And so if you have one of these and for the recall, what you're supposed to do is cut out a piece of harness, a piece of cable right there. You cut it off there, you cut it off there. You take a picture of that being cut and a picture of the serial number. You send that to Ryobi and they will send you a brand new lawnmower. So what are you supposed to do with this? Apparently you're supposed to just throw it in the trash. So 200,000 of these are going to end up in a landfill. That seems kind of wasteful, I guess. So anyways, if you have one of these and you're going through the whole recall, what I would suggest is you give it to your friend who likes to fix things and tinker with things. And fortunately, I was the friend in this case, which means my friend gave me this and for me to fix. Now, I am not telling you how to fix it because I don't want you to burn your house down and then blame me. Now, I'm going to explain what I did. I'll explain what could be done, but keep in mind, this is not a tutorial. So anyways, the cable that gets cut out there looks like this. There are 5 wires. I don't remember the gauge, 20, 22 gauge, something like that. I don't remember. But so you'll need to find some wires that are the same gauge, maybe a tiny bit thicker, just to be safe. Now this is low current, don't know what the voltage is, but this is just going to all the switches and stuff up there, sending signals to the control here. So you'll need a length of wire, 5 conductors, and you'll need to splice that in. Now, again, it gets cut off right about there, so it's going to be really short to splice there. Same with there. So you're going to have to take that apart and pull that cable all the way through so you have enough room to splice. Now, what I would suggest is when you do that, cut the cable so it's about that long right there, so your splices are about halfway down that shaft here and not right out the end. And unfortunately, I didn't think about that till after I did it. So it worked out okay, it works fine, but my splices are right there and I would rather them be there. Now, just a few pointers as far as taking this apart. Let me fold this up. There are a whole bunch of screws that hold that together. Now, what I did was I took all the screws out. By the way, those two there, these are like a Torx head or something like that. But those two there are one size smaller than those others. And those two that go back in there are shorter than the others. So keep track of where the screws came from because there are a couple of different sizes. But when I took all the screws out, I took that cover off and then everything fell out. Like a spring, the switches, wires went everywhere. And what I should have done is when I took all the screws out, put some zip ties to hold it together and then opened it back up and taken this part off. Now things are still going to fall, but less things are going to fall. Gravity is more your friend if you're on this side of things. So I had to like figure out where all the little switches and springs and everything went. It wasn't that bad. It didn't take that long to figure things out because for the most part, everything only fits in one place. You just have to look around and find where they fit. For example, one of the switches that fell loose goes right up under here. So when you pull that bar back, it makes the switch. So, it just took a few minutes looking around to realize where the switch went and how it goes in, how it's activated. The bigger problem is, once you figure where everything is, keeping everything in that position while you're putting the two halves together. Plus, the wires are extra long and they just want to stick out everywhere. So if you're not careful, you could end up with a wire hanging out, or you could have a wire going under a screw hole that would get pinched when you put the screw in it. So the hardest part is making sure that when you put these two halves together, you don't pinch a wire, or a screw doesn't, or I mean or a switch doesn't fall out of its position or something like that. So be very careful here. Be paying attention when you take this apart. Take it apart slowly. Be looking in all the cracks. Be looking in all of the seams and cracks so you can kind of see where things are. And I did not do that, and it took me a while to figure out how to put it all back together. But it's good here now. It's fine. Down here, the other end, you got to take this handle off because it goes through here and down a hole. Then you take this cover off. So that screw here, take that cover off. There's a connector inside of there. It's just a 5-pin connector that screws together. You can unscrew it. And so that's about that long. And then you can splice your new wires into that. And again, I would recommend having, make your repair wire long enough so all of your splices are in here. And again, it just would be better that way. Now, the real problem, so all that does, by replacing that, all that does is delete the deactivation. So it reactivates it, I guess. It just makes it to work and run again. The real problem that makes it catch on fire is in here. You don't want to forget about that. You got to fix that, or else you're just going to delay the fire. So let me explain what's happening in here. So in here, there are a lot of screws. There are 3 screws along the front, 3 screws here, 3 screws back here. And you got to take those screws out, take the key out right here, take that out. And then this whole cover comes off. And the problem component is this connector right here. I don't know if you can tell, but that is melted. And if you look at that power wire, you can actually see bare wire in there where it started melting the insulation. That is cooked. That is the problem. Now, there's actually 2 of these inside of here. One of them is, I'm assuming, much lower current because it sends power, looks like, to another box that's up here, which I think is a power supply for the headlight. I think. I could be completely wrong. The one that's burned up is sending power down that way, I think, to the motor. And so, obviously, I just cut that out and I replaced it with just wire. I found some wire that was the same gauge, and I connected it in with butt splices. Now, keep in mind, most of my friends are shocked when they find out I'm not really an electrician. So if you're doing this based on what I'm telling you, all I'm saying is this is what I did. I'm not saying it's okay or safe. So, for example, now I know the wire gauge is fine, but I used butt connectors. For one, because I think that's more appropriate, and for 2, I just think they're funny. But I'm not going to tell you if I crimped them or soldered them, because if I tell you that I soldered them, half of you are going to be mad and saying I should have crimped them, and if I say I crimped them, then some of you are going to be mad and say I should have soldered them. Now, I have crimped connectors before, I have soldered connectors before, and I have had success with both methods. Having said that, I have seen crimped connectors fail because whoever did it did not use the right tool to crimp them. So if you're going to crimp your splice in, make sure you use the right tool. So anyways, here's a photo of what it looks like in here with the cover removed. And as you saw, the connector that was burnt was on this side, the good one's here. So again, if you're replacing one, if yours is all melted and burnt, it's kind of obvious which one it is. But if it still looks good, then you want the one that sends signals down that way. So on mine, it was a little bit further back. And here's a picture of what it looks like after the repair. And right after that, I took it to my friend's house and tested it with his battery, and it worked perfectly fine. Keep in mind, with the recall, that doesn't cover the battery, it's just the mower. So my friend gave me the mower. I went online earlier and ordered a pair of batteries and a charger, and hopefully I'll get that in a couple of days. And oh, you know what? There's one more thing I almost forgot. Probably the most important part of this. Hold on a second. Okay, now we're good to go. Safety first. So now we're good to go. And anyways, until next time, thanks for watching.